Hi, Hetty.
Hello.
How are you today?
Yes, good. How are you?
I'm good. I just feel like I want to start now every single call and meeting and now these videos until the 12th of April that I apologise for looking like a bear has wandered on screen and just started speaking. It's just like the tash is almost to the point where I can wax the ends.
Oh my god, it has got so long.
I know. It's like you saw me last week and it's like it's just blowing out right now.
Is it at the annoying stage or is it fine?
Well, I don't really notice it. I'm just very aware. Like it's getting to the point now where you meet clients and you want to be presentable, and I'm at the point now where I'm like I get to the place I'm like I remember once seeing a guy and I was talking to my girlfriend Zena that he's either super wealthy or super not. Like to dress like that,
yeah.
That's who you are, and I'm like, I think that's what I'm getting to see now. So like, he either runs a company or he's just trying to get free coffee. It's one of the two.
Amazing. I think it's kind of got to the point where everyone's like given up on just shaving themselves, like shaving their heads themselves.
Yeah,
it's just like Oh, I feel for you because at least, like, I don't know.
You look very.
It could do with a cut, but nice. It's fine. But yeah, you look very nice.
But yeah, no, exciting. So, big day today, discovery session day. I'll kind of just cover what this is about to people that maybe don't quite know. The value of a discovery session is both for, like in this case, purely for a website, but you'll notice some of these questions do touch on brand elements, and we might go over the same things twice, but with a slightly different goal. One might be, how it's one aspect of just the details of how does the design work, how does the website work and functionality, but also there's the brand is not just a lot of colours and fonts and a logo, and that can be expressed differently on a website. Different things can be amplified or whatever the opposite of amplified is. De-amplified.
Yeah.
Pushed down. I don't know.
Quietened?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Quietened. I like that. Yeah. But the point is the same. So we'll go for the questions. It might be super awkward. Who knows? I feel like the last one wasn't too bad.
No, it's fun.
But yeah, it should be fine. It's just me asking questions and you talking about your business.
Yeah.
What can possibly go wrong?
Have to remember everything now.
One thing that is going to be quite cool is we're going to turn these questions into a downloadable PDF accompanying this video. So it should be quite helpful. Beyond just obviously the process of going through getting a new website done, a new e-commerce website done, but equally I don't know how you felt, Hetty, going through it, but like some of the questions I was like, I should have asked this question to myself when I started my agency, or any business really. You're like, you know what? Yeah, who are my competitors? Who are the competitors? But also not just like who are they, but who's better than me?
Yeah.
Who do I think is kind of like they're about my level, and who do I think sucks? And then figure out why that is, and then because I think that tells you so much about how you see your own business and your own future.
And I was about to say where you want to go. I found it really easy to I don't know, maybe this is my personality. I found it really easy to say like who are the people that were better than me and the people that like I'm like they're doing it really well, and then I found it quite easy to find people who like weren't doing it as well, and then it was the people that were on the same level as me that I found like that really difficult.
Well, also it's subjective. It's not like we can download everyone's financial statements. Not saying even that's an accurate representation, but even if that's it's like you can say, well, I turned over X last year, they turned over X, therefore we're the same kind of company.
Yeah,
it's just not the same.
So hard.
We're talking to an Italian client yesterday, And when he was like comparing us to other, saying about competition and comparing with other agencies, and I'm not even going to try and do the accent, but he was just wonderful. He went, obviously competition, but it's not like it's concrete to concrete, apples to apples. It's it's brains to brains, and
nice.
very different things. And I thought I like that.
That's really nice.
It's nice to even in web development, which can seem a little bit commoditized, commodified.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah,
I'm like marketing, and you're giving me all these word questions now, and I'm like, I don't know.
This isn't a discovery session, Hetty.
This
is an English test. This is actually a nightmare.
An English test.
You've reawoken in your year 9 English class.
Oh, I used to be so good at English.
Where did it all go wrong?
Anyway,
moving swiftly.
Digressed slightly.
So how we've tackled this is in 3 main sections initially to kind of give us the starting point, and hopefully the conversation will develop and move and sort of go off in interesting strands from there. And what we'll probably do is, if we come across any killer questions during the process, we'll write them down and we'll add to this living PDF which people can access and use. So we start with brand at a high level, but also then down to the details, what it actually means in pixels on a website. We'll cover the competitive landscape and where Leim fits into a competitive market, and then we'll really get to grips with the website, more focus on functionality and what it has to do to succeed over the next 2-3 years.
Cool.
Well, shall we? I appreciate we probably did a bit of an overview of Leim last week.
Yes.
But it might be useful just to kind of start with the quick 2-sentence intro again, and if in case it's someone's first watching of us, and then we'll go into it from there.
Yeah, so I make toilet-friendly jumpsuits, so you don't need to take them off when you go to the loo. They're all sustainable. They're made from natural materials, like got certified organic cotton, linen, that sort of thing. I'm based in the UK, here in Hertford, and you can see my machines behind me. I started the business about 2 years, but probably I started having the idea maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, so it's relatively new.
Amazing, very cool.
Thanks.
So we'll start with brand, and there's a line here that I've stolen from somewhere. I can't remember where, but definitely nicked it. But the idea is that every customer is the hero in their own story, their own lives, and each are on their own quest, and products and services could be seen as tools, armor, devices, plot points, things in their environment to help them along their own quest. And one of the values of that is grounding your product or service in the life of your customer, as opposed to thinking, oh, this does this. It's like, well, no, how's it actually going to interact and interface with that person? So how we start. So the first question that's on the list is, how does your product or service help the hero, the customer, in their journey through life?
So I really focus on the fact that they're giving my customers the freedom to be able to not have to take all their clothes off, like in a public bathroom or in their office toilet or whatever. But it's also like giving them time back. I think it's much more about like, okay, well, if you think about the time that it takes to, walk to the bathroom, get undressed, go to the loo, have to get undressed again. If it's winter and you're wearing a jumper over the top, it's like all of this adds up, and then suddenly, you've ended up wasting a whole bunch of time. So it's a combination of freedom and time.
Is it also a sense of vulnerability?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's being sat in the toilet of a bathroom that, A, isn't your own. Like, I'm not really sure anyone's going to be wearing the jumpsuits just like lazy around their own house. These are definitely like a going out product, or like you wear them to work, for example. It's incredibly vulnerable to be sat there.
No, I think I will probably say this every single week. It still baffles me it baffles me that there was a meeting in which everyone just went, this clothing you have to take off completely just to have a wee, and no one went, this is a bad idea, Jeff, this is just terrible. Just put it, I don't imagine every woman in the meeting was like, well, this is a horrific idea. Why are we doing this? But it was just guys like me forcing it through, and it's like, I
hate to say it, but I don't even think women were consulted. Like, I don't even think anyone.
That's true.
Like it. Like, I don't want to be a man basher because I'm absolutely not. Like, but I think it's when the original like jumpsuit looks almost like an overall. It was designed as like overalls based off, like, it was more like a couture version of like French workwear.
Interesting.
But for women, but for like, rich women. So it's kind of like, yeah, I think it is just like people not thinking about like basic human needs. And there's also an accessibility and like this perspective as well, because if you have a disability and you still want to be able to wear like clothes that are beautiful and that maybe are a bit more like on the like fashiony end, it's not just like a rota of jeans and t-shirts. Like, yeah, I don't know, I think it's more about just thinking about how our clothes can work for us rather than us just putting on a piece of clothing.
Yeah, no, makes total sense. Also, apologies, just in case you're wondering, anyone else wonders, I'm not ignoring you like on my phone. Honestly,
I'm gonna go.
So I'm making some additional notes on my side. Yeah, no, it is just a complete side point. But I remember like reading "Invisible Women" for the first time by
Caroline Perez. Yeah, she's amazing.
And it was just so mind blowing as a book, as just like the default male part, the default maleness of life. And it's just like,
and it's just like, it's also like, it's, I think there is also a certain extent where it's like, it's just easier for companies not to think about things. It's like, and at some point, we do need to start saying to the businesses that we are essentially funding, we expect more from you. It would be awesome if you could start thinking about like people as individuals, not like just a walking bank account.
But you're just data. That's all we are.
Yeah.
We're just data in a spreadsheet.
Data and money.
Data and money.
But then there is also like, my development costs are really high because, getting fit right and making sure that it, actually works is like quite a long process. And then obviously my costs are higher because the functionality is just not cheap. Like I can understand why businesses haven't, maybe taken a chance on something. I can imagine that they're coming at it from an angle where it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
But I think that actually is a really good follow-on question. It jumps ahead a little bit, but I think it's worth discussing now. Is it important on the website and the branding on the website to tell that story that costs are higher because production costs are higher, and maybe something we can come back to later on is to try to explore like, well, if that's, you're not just charging a high price because profit.
Yeah. It's because I'm really not. And that is actually, I'm actually really glad that you raised that, because that's something that I really struggle to get across and partly it's a messaging thing. I probably need to work a bit harder on my messaging, but like if I wanted to make more money out of these jumpsuits, I should probably be charging like at least twice what I'm charging. My margins are not huge. And I do that because I charge what I have to be able to cover the costs that I do have. but I don't want the jumpsuits to be completely priced out of everybody's range. Like, I want them to be an aspirational item, because I think that really clothing should be. The time that goes into making a piece of clothing, and then, you know, I don't think people necessarily respect the clothes that they have as much as they should.
Yeah.
But that kind of like, I think that's somewhere where the website could really help me, is to be like, help people understand why they are the price that they are, but also that, you know, like £200, you know, £200-300 for something that's taken 10-15 hours to make, like, and that's only the like actual production time, you know, that then the fabric needs to be made, and the zips need to be made, and the buttons need to be made. So it's like, you know, when you think about the human hours that go into something. Yeah, that was a bit of a rant there.
No, that's awesome, and we'll definitely come back to that, because I think it would be easy to approach this through the lens of classic luxury, and I feel like that isn't an authentic telling of the story, and actually wouldn't tell the brand story the best it could. I mean, what prevents you from? What would stop? Okay, I'll rephrase that completely. Why aren't you charging twice as much? Like, if you just said it's aspirational, but it can be aspirational for people that are already wealthy. You know,
I know.
What's the
because sustainable clothing is already expensive. Like, because you know, everything is more expensive when you are taking, like, when you're actually paying people fairly, things are more expensive. But maybe partly it's like a confidence thing. Like, I didn't go to Central St. Martin's. I haven't worked for, you know, a big fashion house. Like, I'm just a person who loves making clothes. Like, why would I charge £600 for a jumpsuit? But I also think it's like, I want to help people learn why they should be investing more, and I'm not going to be able to do that by only trying to sell to people who are already rich. I think that's how I feel. I'm like,
I like that. But, you know, it's learning and teaching a little bit why. Like, I always compare it to like Crazy Fish restaurant. I think in near Green Park. I think it's Crazy Fish, and I'm sure it's fine fish. I've no doubts about the quality of the ingredients, but it's just about expensive. It's expensive because it's expensive, and you go there because it's expensive. And I think there's now Crazy Pizza as well. They're broadening out the brand. And there's that other restaurant in Soho, if they've all survived, of course, that, you know, you hit the button for champagne.
What's it? Bob Ricard.
That's the one. I mean, to be fair, that's how.
Oh my god, I would 100% go.
There's me judging all the
I know,
people, and I was like, I mean, champagne to the table.
Ooh, yes, please.
But there's. Yeah, I think so much in the kind of higher end of the market, there are brands that are simply about being expensive. You know, it's about being exclusive and expensive, but fundamentally the product isn't necessarily the reason why it's expensive. Compared to, I mean, I don't know why my brain's going there, but my brain's in Mayfair right now. You have the gun makers there. Where there's like a 10-year wait list for shotguns. Like, you can't buy one. You just have to join it. I don't know if you prepay.
Oh my god!
But you join the list, and 10 years later, you'll get your immaculately crafted, you know, incredible things. Like they did some they did a set of shotguns a few years ago where it came with a free Range Rover. with like they redid the
Oh
back
my
of the Range Rover to have where you could put your gun, your dog could sit, have some whiskey. I'm thinking it might be maybe some Top Gear back in the day. But yeah, like how much money have you got to spend when they give you a free Range Rover?
That's mental. Oh my god.
But I feel like ironically your brand is closer to that because they're about heritage and story and production. Maybe yours is not so much about heritage yet, you know, but
Soon.
give it 100 years.
In 10 years.
10 years, exactly. But no, it's about it. The shotguns are expensive, not only because there's so few of them, but because they're handmade and there's a process that goes into it. And so that's really that opens up exciting opportunities. Help tell that story.
And I really want to focus more than I do already on the website on like that personal touch. Like pretty much every person who orders from me I speak to, like on a like normally by email, but sometimes on the phone and by text and stuff. And like I'm always there for people to ask questions. And you know, I really want people to like there was a really long time when I was like, oh, I really don't want the brand to be associated with me, and like I didn't want to put myself on the Instagram, I didn't want to put myself on the website. And then I realized that like I think the reason, definitely at this stage, because you know nobody really knows my name, so as in the name of Leim, like the brand. So, you know, they're not buying it because they're like associate Leim with like quality or Leim with amazing customer service. They're normally buying it because they like there's, you know, these certain levels of like trust where that like reinforce the price. And yeah, I lost my train of thought, but you know what I mean?
It's an interesting point there. And I feel like that's something to be discussed actually, is maintaining that sense of personal touch and availability, whilst hopefully with a brand new e-commerce site, you'll be rolling in cash, orders coming in quicker, just putting money underneath the shirt, underneath the bed. But it's an interesting technical and brand question of like, well, how do we maintain that sense of availability and personal touch when potentially you're studying yourself on your yacht off in the Caribbean?
Oof, yes, please. I think I might have to increase my prices for that.
A little bit.
Little bit.
Why?
Yeah.
Why are we putting up a blog post? Why are we putting up our prices for 2022?
Yeah.
Found an amazing yacht, and I feel like together, collectively, as an audience, we can give myself a yacht.
We need to crowdfund my lifestyle.
Isn't that what influencer is?
Yeah, I mean, basically.
Sorry. that was a low blow. But actually, that does lead on to a very nice segue into the next question, actually, which is, you know, what is the one thing every potential customer should come away with from any brand interaction, not just a website, but any time they encounter Leim, you know, from friend at the pub to social media? What's the one thing they should try and come away with? And I put some examples down as like Ryanair is like cheap. That everything about their brand is deliberately about affordability, cheapness. Apple is about design. Nike is about athletes. What does everyone should everyone walk away with when they touch Leim?
I find this really hard, because I've asked myself this question like all the time, and I can never just choose one. Like I wrote freedom, but now I'm like, I actually think I just want it to be fun. Like I think I want, it's like a combination between like fun and like like quality. Because like the one thing that has made me feel the best this year has been when I get a reply from someone who's like, I put your jumpsuit on and it made me feel really special. And you know, the mostly women. I've made a couple of guys ones now, But the 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 women who email me and they're like, oh, I felt really crap this year, and then I put your jumpsuit on and I felt amazing, and I'm like, awesome. So it's like a combination of like fun and special, maybe.
Okay.
Because also special brings in the quality as well, I think, aspect.
Have they ever expanded on what they meant by special? Yeah, because someone might say that if I were to buy a Tom Ford suit, I hope I'd feel pretty down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that I feel that that'd be a very different special.
Yeah.
To wearing a Leim bodysuit. So jumpsuit, should I say?
Yeah.
Have they explored? Have they ever explored what that specialness means?
No, and maybe I should ask people. I think like I do offer a really personal service. Like I'm not at the stage yet where I can't speak to everybody individually. And like a lot of my customers, like I don't know what's going on in their lives, but like, I always try to ask questions and to like find out what's going on with them and stuff. And then, I always write like a handwritten note and like I hand wrap the presents. They're not just presents. I call them presents. Maybe that's like, yeah.
That's a lovely way of wording it. I like that.
Yeah, and actually I should maybe say that a bit more. Like I wrap them, and when you get it, it is almost like somebody sending you a present. Like and actually I've just spent quite a bit of time working on some new packaging because I wanted it to feel like even more present-like.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna start doing some little, and then you get like a little gift with it. So I send a gift with every purchase, and like little things like this that I try to like make people feel like I'm a person, I'm not a business. Also from a business perspective, I do think it helps with my returns rate. I think like I have a really low returns rate for fashion.
That brings it back to like a real hard business reason to do this. Beyond it's your personality, and beyond it's a nice brand touch. You got to be a bit mean. Not mean. You have to have a genuine problem to send it back.
Yeah.
In this case.
Yeah. And like I think I had like 5 returns last year, and most people.
How many sales?
So I would say, I mean, I sold 100 jumpsuits, but like I have sold 100 and something jumpsuits now. But some of those returns turned into exchanges. Basically, I don't count returns within that 100 jumpsuits. So actually, I can't give you a proper answer, because for me, it's like, how many people are wearing a jumpsuit? And if someone's returned something, I just kind of like, oh, okay, that's out. That's done. Which maybe isn't the right way to do it, but...
No, it's fine. It's an interesting thing. But, it does feel like, from what you said, your knowledge of the sector, that it seems lower. The percentages seem lower than...
Oh my God, when you think about like ASOS's, I mean, obviously their business model is totally different. Their business model is built around getting people to buy and hoping they don't return. But when you think it's like something crazy, like it's like over 70% or something, it's like, and I'm going to fact check that after this, because that is something that I heard on the grapevine, and maybe I should like bleep it out.
ASOS, do not sue us.
Yeah. I'm like, oh. But
we'll bleep out some names.
Yeah. But yeah, like to only get like such a tiny and like and as I said, most people have like ended up buying a different one anyway. So.
Oh, cool! Yeah. Amazing. It's interesting because the next one is about who is your customer, and so some men buy it for themselves or for partners.
Yeah. So I do like one. So it's only been the boiler suit so far, obviously, because I think my others have like quite a feminine silhouette. Like I kind of get the boiler suit. It could be like either or. So yeah, because I offer like custom sizes. Yeah.
Very cool. And then, but predominantly women 28 to 55.
Yeah. So I would even say maybe a bit older, like mid 60s. Yeah. And generally they are working. Yeah, so generally they will either be working in like one of the creative industries or like, marketing agencies, or they will. I have like quite a lot of mums who buy my jumpsuits, but they have to have like a certain level of income to be able to like justify a purchase like this. Like it has to. But I find that often they're not like I would never chase someone who is like, I only buy sustainably, because those people are shopping at charity shops, or they're only buying from eBay and things like this, whereas they're probably not going to spend £300 on something that's new. They may do for a very special occasion, but they're not like my core target market. My target market are people who are like kind of beginning their like small shopping. They're starting to only buy from independents, and they'll independent brands, I mean, and they will be starting to think about ways that they can incorporate like sustainability into their lifestyle. But it's not like it's not how they define themselves. It's more like
It's an interesting thing. With our first discussion yesterday about about sustainable web development.
Nice.
And the impact of, we approach large files, and we'll bring this business back. This is relevant, I promise. Not just randomly random, but and we focus on image files, video files through the lens of site speed. But of course, it takes energy, power to move large files around the place. You have smaller files, less energy required, less impact on the environment. And it's a really interesting idea, to sort of to approach that more. And I feel like it's for me like it's leading into a wider sense of it's like the groundswell of sustainability is getting higher and higher, where it's almost like, unless you're one of these cheap and cheerful fashion brands, it's almost like the entry into it. It's almost not worth even, why are you doing this if it's not sustainable. There's that, I feel like that part of the market maybe hasn't gone, but it's I wonder how many people purchase fashion just because it's sustainable. Whereas maybe they're more like seeing it through the lens of, right, it's sustainable and it's something else.
I honestly think it's like people prefer that I'm a small business rather than the fact that they're sustainable. And like now I don't really lead with like the sustainability bits. Like to me it's really important, but I think to my customers it's probably more important that I am doing something innovative that isn't like a part of a fast fashion brand. And then they'll see this and message me and be like, actually, no, it was because you're sustainable. I'll be like, oh shit, sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Actually, though, that's an interesting question. Let's explore it now. What's your long-term vision for Leim? Is it to build it up to a size where you sell it to a larger fashion house? Is this the thing you'll run for the next 40 years, or is it because I think that does play into the brand a little bit, because obviously if the vision was to build it up quick as you could over 5 years and then sell it to LVMH, that's a different approach and a different structuring and a different mindset to this is a bit low and slow. We did this. We're not looking to maximize income every year. We're looking to keep true to the brand.
Oh, this is really hard. Like I have laid awake at night just thinking over and over again, like, what do I want? Because you're right, and it's also like it completely changes how I have to make every decision in the business.
Mm.
And I think it's probably the hardest question that like you could ask me specifically, because on the one hand there's like I mean, I'm not super competitive, I'm like quite quietly competitive, and there's like that side of me that is like, I want my dad to be proud of the fact that I like sold this huge business, and you kind of, there's also like a bit of me that like wants to prove the boys wrong. Not my dad believes in me, but like generally
Yeah. No, I get that
a
completely.
bit, just to be like, women can do this too.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the side of me that's like, at some point I want kids and I want to like, I don't know, be around to like pick them up from school and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that the two of them are not like mutually
No.
exclusive, but you do have to make certain sacrifices if you're building a business to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
I think where I am at now, I don't think I'm building a business that I want to sell, but I'm also not necessarily saying that. Okay, so actually what I think is more interesting, sorry,
Mm-hmm. No, cool. That
is
this is amazing.
when I started Leim because there was like a very deep down, like I started my career in fashion, always wanted to be in fashion, and then realized that I didn't want to work for £16,000 for the next 15 years, or like drag myself up, because fashion is one of those industries where you tend to have connections to, and I didn't have any. And so Liam is kind of my attempt at like finding a way into the fashion industry without having to do the like, yeah. I mean, I'm really, obviously I'm not well paid right now because I'm not paid at all for Liam. But I think that maybe that answers the question on like a deeper level. It's like, actually, I was just trying to find a way that I could have a career within an industry that's really hard to get into.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's valuable. It's because it's part of the answer to what the future is. You have to bear in mind where it started and what was the mindset to where it started. And I don't think necessarily you have to decide today, now, sort of what the end result is. I think it's, and yeah, I kind of guessed that going in. It was more like there'll be a way of selling it in the future if you so desire. But then Paul Smith never sold, until very recently. I don't think he's ever sold any shares.
Yeah.
Paul Smith. I think only in the latter part of his career, and I feel like he's lived quite a nice little lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think it's I think that's also one of the dangers of tech startup culture leading into general business culture, where it's about high growth, quick, go public, sell. And it's like, that's cool, and if that's your bag, amazing. That's a valid thing to do, but there's other ways to do business.
And it's also very unusual for a fashion brand to, like the profit margins in tech are like I'm a fashion brand, I'm not going to have those kinds of like margins. So it's like, I think that it's all too easy to compare industries, when actually, if you do look at the industry, like Liam really is a passion project for me. Like, I would love to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm going to get really rich, but that also feels, and that ties into the pricing thing as well. It's like, if I wanted to get rich from Liam, I would, double the prices, get more investment, and then see what happens. But I want to put out a really great product that people love, that is at a fair price.
Yeah, I get that. It's a passion project isn't much fun if you can't share it with people.
Yeah.
Or you share it with people who don't value it the same way you do. Whereas I can see this, I can totally see, it's something is like there's, as much as this is a fashion brand, it's also an opinion, I think, about how the world should be.
Yes.
And
exactly.
There's no point in that if only a tiny sliver of the ultra wealthy can easily access that. So it's I think it's really interesting.
And it breaks my, like, the amount of times I get DMs on Instagram from women who are like, I love your jumpsuit so much, I'm saving up for one, I wish I could afford it sooner. And I'm like, I wish you could afford it sooner too. I want to, like, I want to give people what they want, but also at the same time I need to be able to support myself, so it's tricky.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if there's like a business scope to explore some like layaway options.
Layaway?
Yeah, so it's the opposite of credit. It was really popular up until like the 80s, and then obviously like the big bang, and it moved forward.
I'm gonna write a note.
It got a bit of a bad press recently because that company that did it went bust and took everyone's money. So the idea is this company went bust. It's a bad example of it, but rather than credit, where you get the item and then you pay for it off over time, instead you pay for the item and you lay away money every month, but you're paying the provider money. So it's not just like a savings account which you dip into because issues, but you pay into it, and then at the end of 12 months or however long the layaway scheme is, off you get. And there's how a lot of people pay for Christmas, or at least used to.
The gift was the cards. Yeah, I remember you can buy those cards, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was an awful time where people have been paying into it for like 12 months, and then come December, the company went bust with all their cash, and it's just awful. But
I actually have thought about doing it. Yeah, I had a meeting with my mentor, and she had the idea of being like, maybe you could look into like a kind of subscription, but like not. And actually, I think it's a really good idea. It's just like, because of the price of the jumpsuits, it would probably need to be about £70 a month. And that's quite a chunk for someone to put away every month. So, but and then there's there's all like Klarna and things, and half of me is like, it's a good idea because obviously, like, if somebody could pay for it over 4 months, then maybe that could help them. But I do also think it's very irresponsible.
It's such a challenge, isn't it? It's I was sort of reading Hillbilly Elegy. It was a book about America, a person from the Appalachian Mountains, and joined the military. It's a true story, and it has been turned into a film, I understand. And it's interesting because he talks about actually how it felt to come from a very poor background in America. And there was an example where if he left the military, he was getting some quite well-paid jobs, but he had a debt. He had a obligation come in, a liability come in, and he was due a massive paycheck, but couldn't pay for it. But that was where the payday loan was so valuable. He was like, without a payday loan, I would have potentially had to have gone bankrupt. So it's not like I can call any family and say, can you lend me $2,000? They don't have that money. So he said the ability to take out a loan, yes, it cost me. Yes, I paid back $2,200, which is an annoying, a very, very bad rate of interest. But it meant he used the tool appropriately, and he was he was talking about how when it comes to politics, that it's too easy to kind of attack the tool, especially if you would never use it. If you're able to spend hundreds of pounds on a jumpsuit without having to use credit, then it's easy just to decry it as this dreadful thing. Because obviously it can be, all credit can be a dreadful thing if misused, but equally it can be the difference between someone going, you know what, I can afford this. I've got a good few months. I'm a freelancer. I've had a good, I've got, let's say you're freelance artist, freelance creative, and you know you've got a project for 3 months, you could save it, but but it's for summer. You've got some festivals lined up.
Yeah.
Why not do it? Why not buy it now, pay it for 3 months, where you know you can afford to do it, and then get rid of it, and then you can then obviously you're clear of it. So it is a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. And then maybe I should just try it out. I don't know.
But I think that's comes actually of the authenticity of the brand again, and and like, does is it more likely to harm your desired audience than it is to improve? Fundamentally, do your normal customers require it? Would using it potentially drag customers who maybe couldn't afford it into it and maybe put themselves in difficulty?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a question.
And I think that's like the morals, like the actual doing it. I'm like, it would be great for me because I think I would get more customers if I had Klarna, and like I think that's why they've done so well, because of course you would if you could spread a cost out. But then it's also like from a moral perspective, am I just encouraging people who can't really afford it, like who maybe, if they had to make that purchase in one go, would actually be better off putting that £300 towards X that would be much better for them, but actually they're just doing it over 3 months and spending on a jumpsuit. And that's when I'm like, maybe I should start thinking a bit more like a business.
It's just money.
Money.
I'm very pleased that in my little B2B world, I have to worry less about those considerations. It's interesting also. So with the creative industries and marketing side, I can totally imagine that being the case. And I wonder if there's anything to do with, maybe not so relevant to website. Maybe it is, but could you do something along the lines of sharing more stories of people in that space? Could you reach out to former customers? And so, if I'm looking at it and it's account executives, it's, creative producers, if I'm seeing that all the people that are referenced by the brand are in this creative space, that again helps me feel like, this is for me.
I really, really want to make more of my reviews area, and like I've got some really cool customers, like they do some really interesting jobs, and I really want to like start making more of them. It's like, so spoiler alert, I'm actually looking for a factory in the UK, so that I'm going to split. Yeah, I'm going to split the brand out into ready-to-wear, so they're people who don't need any adjustments or anything, and then bespoke. And then the bespoke ones are people who would need maybe a custom size or something. And so that will free up a lot more of my time so that I can start doing more exciting marketing things like this. But
interesting.
Once I have like that much more time, then I have like spreadsheets and spreadsheets. My Notion is full of ideas, and then I just have no time to do it. So
no, that's interesting. That's cool. But that's something to bear in mind, is that we should not look at the website for now. We should think about 6 months, 8 months, 18 months onwards, and think, okay, where are you going to be in the business? Because if this comes off, and maybe a factory will find this video, get in touch and say, hey, we can do the ready to wear. Then we want the website to be ready for that, for when you're like, right, I can now devote an extra 30% of my week to marketing and stories and content. The website needs to be, from now, ready for that. Even if it might not be for a few months before that's active and used.
So I also want to start focusing more on events. So I'm working on a new style that people will be able to make themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm torn whether I'll actually sell it as a product as well. Like, I don't see why I couldn't sell it as a product, because it is much simpler to make. So it would be cheaper as well. So it would also be a bit more of like a, what's the word when you have like a entry level? There we go. Oh.
You know, it'd be a crazy idea, and only because it's what everyone's discussing at the moment. You could do a series of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, for patterns. So people could buy the pattern, and obviously once someone buys a pattern, traditionally it's a PDF out in the world, and that's that.
Yeah.
But it could be something. No, to be fair, I don't know how you secure it enough, because eventually it has to be a PDF someone prints off.
Yeah.
So
I thought you were just about to solve the biggest issue of this, is people having the pattern and somebody copying the pattern.
Yeah.
Because that's my biggest. I've been wanting to do these events for since I started the business, but the easy pay, the functionality, that cost me a lot of money to develop and a lot of my brain to develop. And if the pattern is then out in the world, somebody could buy one and copy it. That's fine.
Yeah, the thing that has to be mindful of is like sending out just the thing alone isn't going to prevent someone from accessing. If someone was like, you know what, I can do this brand better.
Yeah. Be very easy, actually, now.
There's something interesting there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little think about that.
Right, cool. So I think in a good point here to kind of, I also wonder if maybe we do this over 2 sessions.
Yeah, I was just thinking then, like, this is actually really fun, but we're also talking about a lot of things that aren't related to the website. So
yeah, I feel like maybe what we'll do, but like maybe we'll quickly finish off, not quickly, but we'll explore now the top level purpose of the website, and then maybe next week we'll do this again, and then we'll get more into the details. We'll go through and I think that actually makes be a nice separation. There's like one session's about the brand and the kind of and the top level stuff, and then one session's about the breakdown, how that actually plays out.
Yeah, perfect.
In the code.
Yeah,
it's almost like you planned this.
Oh my god! Imagine.
So okay, here we go. Last sort of major question, top level question is: what purpose does your website need to serve?
So I'm going to look at the sheet as well, because just so I make sure that I say exactly what I meant to, what I thought that I should say. So obviously, primarily, it's a sales website. It's a way that I collect payment and for people to choose a size and a color. I think that there are definitely ways that that can be better, and I think that maybe that's something that I know that I haven't organized it in necessarily the best way. But I also want it to be kind of like a content area. So when I start to do these classes, I want to make them so that, people might be able to buy a package and then do it at any point. There'll be in-person live events when we can. But then also, if somebody lives i.e. not in the UK/London, they'll still be able to do them. But also like you were saying, I think actually further down the sheet I've said I want to make more of my reviews area and talk more about my customers. I want to be able to have more of that kind of content where I include my customers in the process a lot more and highlight them as much as I can. And then one thing that I wrote, and I kind of spoke about it before, is the Meet the Maker part, that page that's in the main nav. I never really had that before. I did on my old website. It was much simpler than, there wasn't as much content and stuff. And people, I think, respond so well to the brand because, okay, for example, I hadn't done any face-to-face stories where I'm talking to stories for ages. We spoke about it before, and then after we'd spoken, I was right, I have to do some now because I've said this, and so I did one, and I got so many messages from people and whilst it's still small enough to be like, hi, I'm the person who makes your jumpsuits, like, why not make the most of it that I can?
Mm-hmm.
So a place for
sense.
them to like meet me, find out how involved I am, watch me doing bits and pieces. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think there's a huge interest in like behind the scenes stuff now. Yeah, I mean, I'm a fiend for it on YouTube myself. It's and Mr. Porter did an amazing series of a Saturday with different kind of like fashion people, and there was the chap who founded AMI. It's like, I just want to be a cool guy living in Paris on a scooter, going to my atelier on a Saturday and just like doing something creative. And
they have the most beautiful lives.
Just compared to us in the UK.
I know.
It's just there was one about this fashion. I'm sure I said of you the suit maker in Naples. And it's just. One, he has no business being that good looking in his 50s. That's just wrong. But two,
all of them.
Frankly, everybody.
It's just like beautiful man after beautiful man.
It was just like it was like the epitomization of the silver fox. It's just like it's just wrong. It's just not there. But what was I saying?
No, but it's like behind the scenes, like people want to know who is making their products a lot more than they used to, and like I think that's why people buy from small businesses, like because
it makes sense. It's say cool. Dang, I had no idea. I thought about the thing. That was it. This is like this. You might want to edit this out because this is like top secret conversations. But is what makes the cut special an element or like a part of it?
Are you talking about patents?
Yes.
You can't patent fashion.
No, not patent. But I wonder if you could just send that part separate.
It's tricky because, like, it's just a zip. Like, anyone could have done what I do.
Okay.
Like, YKK, I'm pretty certain YKK might hold a patent for a concealed zip, but, like, unless I want to try and take on the biggest trims manufacturer in the world, I'm not sure unfortunately not. Like, I've tried, and like I can get design protections, but I would have to get one for each style, for each color, and it would only protect that color. So it's like if I'm only and I'd have to get one, and they're like 50 to 70 quid each, so like each collection would cost me, I don't know, £500 and £600 in design protection. And like, as much as I'd love to think that I have that much spare cash flying around, I definitely don't.
Fair. That is crazy.
I'm hoping that like I will build up enough of a brand that by the time people copy, because I don't really need to worry about the ASOS owned brands of the world. Like, the cost is always going to be too high for them to manufacture this. It's the And Other Stories and the Whistles and the J Crew. They're the ones that I need to worry about. The ones who are like happy with a little bit of a higher cost price. They're my scary competitors.
Okay, which is a perfect one to lead on to next week when we go into competition. But I do feel like it's a very different thing. It's like, as much as I can see them being a competitor, are they really?
No.
It's an interesting. I'm thinking you could probably sell your pattern. My girlfriend Zina's really got into sewing recently and making stuff. And it's awesome.
She's doing so well.
Yeah, she's doing really well. She's doing at the moment.
Awesome.
And it's like, someone decides they want to just rip you off, they're going to do it anyway. They're just going to buy one and then take it apart and then recreate it. So is there a way of engaging with the same audience and growing that audience slightly to because there might well be people that are like love this, can't afford to have it made entirely, but would have fabric around and would love to invest in making it. I'm very much not one of the customers. I'm the sort of one to go, I love that someone could make this at home. I just want to pay you to do it for me. Cheers.
Yeah.
So those exciting opportunity. It's something else that we could explore next week, because that could be a different aspect of the website. It probably would need its own little bit of a mini story to sort of explore it, because they wouldn't necessarily be the same. I can see there being huge overlays in the audience, but they're not the exact same.
Totally. Audience. And I also think it's like, someone would want to maybe want to make one themselves, make it, and then be like, okay, now I'm ready to spend. Now I see. I think there's a lot of people in the world, and I'm also stealing this from an event I went to. There's a lot of people in the world who see something, who are like, I can do that, like I can make that, and then they realize that it's actually harder. I do this all the time. It's actually harder. I'm a maker. I'm the sort of person who's like, I can do that, like I can make that. I try and make it, it looks crap, so then I go out and buy the real thing. And so that, like, this is kind of what I'm feeling like. I can also like get that little group of people who are like, oh, I think I could have a go at doing that. Because also it's not rocket science. Like, I can do it. It's just time. That's all it is.
I think that's it. Time and attention, I suppose. It's like it's not something you could. It's not also one of those hobbies you could do in front of the TV. It's you do have to focus a bit, which I think is always adds to all the challenges in this. Yeah. Interesting. Well, amazing. Well, thank you for this. I think this is really really awesome.
This is fun. I enjoyed it.
Brilliant. And it took longer than I thought it would.
I know.
But no, it's awesome. It's obviously there's lots to say, and I feel like it's been really interesting for me. Hopefully it's been interesting and even useful maybe for you.
Oh my God, I've got some notes. I didn't think I would have notes.
Amazing, cool. Well, so I think what we'll do, we're going to do something else next week. But I think what we'll do is we'll do like a phase 2 on this next week, and we'll get into the gritty details, and then go from there.
Cool. Well, see you next week, and thank you.
No, thank you. Take care.